political analyst Kim Emerson, live from Victoria to talk more about the fallout, the echo effect, if you will, Kim, from the terrorist shooting yesterday in Ottawa, as the legislature in Victoria has to have some heightened security, does it not?
It does. What happened yesterday is that security guards were put on every entrance into the building, which is unusual. There are many entrances where people can, who have security passes, can come and go quite easily. But yesterday there were security at all the entrances, so people were checked as they came and went, and it was shut to the public for the most part. People who already had prearranged showings could go into the legislature and have a visit inside, but things were very, very different yesterday than what you normally see.
Now, Premier Christy Clark did address accessibility with regard to the legislature here in Victoria. Kim, have a listen to the Premier speak.
We don't want the legislature fenced in and shut off. We want to ensure that the public continues to have access to these institutions. If we cut off our democratic institutions from the public, it means the people who practice terror have won a victory.
This seems to be obviously the overwhelming sentiment across the country.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're not going to completely review security at the legislature and make some changes. They've always done that. As far back as the 1990s, when the protesters broke in, they made an adjustment to security at that time. After the kettle or the pressure cooker bombing threat that happened on Canada Day, they changed security again there. They changed the sight lines throughout the facility so that guards could see right across the property. They cut down bushes and trees and branches. So there will be another review here, and one of the things that they are going to do is they're going to put in a metal detector at a new entranceway that they've got, that it essentially was a handicapped entrance, but it will now become the entrance for an awful lot of other people, because that's where they'll put a metal detector. They already have that metal detector on hand. They have another one of those in the public gallery area, so there will be two stations that you would have to go through if you want to get into the legislative chamber. So things are going to change, there's no question about that, but to shut it down entirely would be foolish.
Now, Kim, there was a discussion yesterday that 3 days ago there was a heightened level of security, a notice that went out across the board politically and to Transport Canada. Were you hearing anything along those lines at the legislature in Victoria?
They weren't telling us anything. The only people who really knew what was going on that way was the Sergeant-at-Arms and his staff, and he told the two House leaders of the two parties, the Liberals and the NDP, and left it up to them on how they dealt with the rest of their MLAs. And essentially what happened is they kept things pretty much quiet and to themselves to ensure that there wasn't anything going to happen, but if it did, they were prepared, they were ready to make moves. I mean, there's security at the legislature all the time, and it does get heightened whenever there's protests and other events that take place there. But this is a whole different situation.
All right, a new normal. Thanks so much for checking in with us this morning on security at the legislature in Victoria. Kim Emerson from Omni TV. Thank you, sir.